stimulus, right? It's kind of interesting when you look at this chart that I've got somewhere in here. I have to go back pretty far. There's a decent amount of notes. China's mortgage slide is sign of weak buyer sentiment. I mean, that's really trailed off, right? Looking at that chart quarter over quarter for the last few years. So yes, they're going to be providing some stimulus, and you got the whole article on here. Government is working on a basket of support measures. Down payments for some areas in top cities could be trimmed. So, what's the translation, or what could be the move off of this? And I think you're already seeing it in the pre-market, but I would tend to maybe look at some industrial names. Now, I'm long Boeing from yesterday. That's not really a pure play, for that, but, names like Caterpillar, right? And I've been looking at these names and saying, is this a buying opportunity in here? So let's see where this lines up right now. I mean, there's a lot of these VPOCs that have to get through. So this closed at 209, so it is trading up $5. So it's tough to kind of chase Caterpillar up $5. But if you want to put a positive spin on it and say this stock hasn't done anything, and the stock is back to where it was, even with this move up pre-market, it's in the middle of the range of where it's been over the last month, basically. All right. You could also look at the steel plays. I was actually looking at, because I saw XME, metals and mining, were strong. Made a decent move yesterday. That's been an ugly chart, the XME chart, by the way. But you could see it's making a turn here. All right. Here's what this XME ETF looks like. Has had a really nasty slide. So these may get a little bit of a boost. Now, you don't have to force a trade in any of these names. What I would watch the tape for in the first hour is some call activity in something in the, so again, that's kind of how you can use option activity, or at least like put together, what I try to do every morning for you guys is put together a little bit of just train of thought in terms of what you could see momentum in. Now, I don't know for sure, because I don't know if buyers are going to kind of, swarm in and start to buy infrastructure names, but option activity will be a really good signal for that today, right? So if you start to see, and Vale saw some calls yesterday. I thought that was unusual, because we haven't seen that in a while. Let's see if I can find that order. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of activity, and there was a couple of these, like this one in particular caught my eye. These 5,000 of the June 13 calls for about 40 cents. They never buy like really expensive, like in the money calls in Vale. It's always out of the money type stuff, or a dollar out of the money. But I would watch again for something like this. If they come in and start buying Cliffs Resources calls, right, that would be something that would be notable, right? And that's something that I might follow. So again, I'm just kind of setting the day up a little bit in terms of what could catch momentum. Let's talk about a couple of these earnings reports. Lulu, I think it was Jason who put on a call fly yesterday in Lulu. I mean, just amazing, this thing, how much this thing has gotten hit, and almost filled the whole earnings gap from last time around, which is pretty nice. And it looks like this VPOC is going to be taken out here up at 381. Just again, nice quarter, and takes back all those declines that we've seen for consecutive days. MDB, impressive, all the way up to 375. Now, there's no free lunch here. If you look at the options, the options were super expensive yesterday. So you really, and again, like call flies or something that I guess you could have done hindsight 2020, but there's no free lunch with the options. Like I looked, I was like, I wanted to buy something out of the money, like a flyer on something, but they're not cheap. Like you really kind of spend a lot of money to take a flyer, and hence then it's no longer a flyer. But that's a really nice move. And we're still seeing this out of some of the software names, right? Some names are really beating. Asan had good numbers too. Other pre-market movers this morning, Let me go to the change up because I know I'm forgetting. IoT had good numbers, and I think, you know, a nice level to watch if you like this name. Wow, it took out the 1 hour VPOC. Look at that. So, you know, they had good numbers. I put a note in there too. You know, so this is going to be another earnings names to watch, right? Which is kind of cool, you know, to see some of these names do that. CC has a water systems settlement. That name's up on that one. FGEN gets an upgrade. Dish on this Amazon news. The names that the other telecom names, AT&T, Verizon, right? I saw somebody tweeting about, oh my God, we saw Verizon calls the other day, right? And now you know, oh yeah, I took profits in those yesterday. Okay, whatever. So, you know, you got to be careful with the option activity. I say it all the time because you get a lot. I don't get the fascination with people having to sell you that all option flow is great. It's not. So those names are getting really beaten up. And yes, Verizon saw calls the other day. Sentinel-1, big disappointment there, down 36%. Again, cyber can be tough, especially for some of these smaller names. Zscaler, I don't think is moving too much. You know, there's a couple of big names that reported. It's actually resolving higher here. So that's going to be coming out of this consolidation. Also Datadog, which I like the consolidation here, but man, this thing is off to the races on the MDB results. Who else did I want to talk about this morning? Broadcom. You know, somebody said this to me on Twitter yesterday. Oh, geez, you know, they had a good report. I don't get why the stock is down. Well, look at what it, you know, you always have to look at what the stock has done leading up to the report. Yeah, and it had like, I would consider this kind of like a blow off top type move. Now we're coming up on the open here. Does anybody have any charts that they want to go over? I'll stay on for another minute, but I've got an alert set on things like Upstart, which is also up on the day. I'll be watching the Bitcoin names again. I think Bitcoin's up a little bit this morning. It's up about 1%. You know, again, doesn't make me want to like jump, you know, dive into all those Bitcoin names, but I'll be watching this one again. All right, guys. Any chart requests really quick? I'm happy to go through one or two. If not, have a great day, everybody. Happy Donut Day, and hope to see you at 1 o'clock for the Q&A session.